felt so welcome. You're a piece of work.
You are a piece of shit, and I won't mind saying it.
Well, you're built like a brick. You're nothing but a shit. I came here. Nothing would have prepared me for what would come my way during my trip in New Zealand. When I left that farm up north after being in New Zealand for 1 month, I really thought that there wouldn't be any drama or anything like that. And if there was going to be any drama, it would probably be with other people my age. Boy, I was so wrong. Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Nima Boa, and today we are gonna be talking about my New Zealand trip. Last time you guys heard from me, I was up north after being in New Zealand for 1 month, and I share you guys my experience being on a farm, wolfing up north. And I said a lot of things in that video, and I still stick by that. I didn't know at the time that I had it easy during that time on that farm. I will say the only thing that I still didn't really like about that farm was that it was very unorganized. Besides that, I had it easy on that farm. I really had it easy. The next following 5 to 6 months was definitely crazy. So after leaving that farm, I went to Auckland because I had to go down south. I had a wolfing place I wanted to stay at a castle 4 hours from Queenstown. So I got dropped off by the nearest town and I took the bus, which was a really beautiful journey, all the way to Auckland, which took about 4 hours, I think. The scenery in New Zealand is so beautiful, so I wasn't complaining, and I definitely enjoyed my 4 hours in the bus. I usually would never sit in a bus for 4 hours. When you're in New Zealand, it's something completely different. So I really enjoyed that trip, and then I went to Auckland and looked around in the city and for a couple of hours and had some sushi and stuff like that. I saw the city in Auckland. I will say I was kind of disappointed. It definitely gave big city vibe, but it definitely also kind of was empty in the same way, being a big city. So it was a little bit weird in that way. I definitely didn't have the feeling of wanting to go back. But after staying in Auckland for a couple of hours, I went to the airport and then I flew to Queenstown, and I ended up in Queenstown at 10 o'clock in the evening, so it was completely dark. I booked a hostel in Queenstown because I was just going to stay there for 6 hours, just sleeping till the next day for me to take the bus 7 o'clock in the morning. So I didn't book a hotel, also because Queenstown's really expensive, so I was just like, there's no point of me booking an expensive hotel room just for me to stay overnight. So I booked a hostel. That hostel was it was alright, I guess. It wasn't really the best of best. And then the day after, I took the bus and saw the morning light hit Queenstown, which was so beautiful. And then I went 4 hours from Queenstown to a small city where I got picked up by the owner that owns the castle. And by castle, it's not really a castle, but it still is close to being a castle. Get into that at all. I really look forward to going to this place because, for one, it's a castle. I love everything like TV programs, YouTube channels where they like buy these castles, chateaus, and renovate them. And for me, when I was there for the 2 weeks, my job was to help them renovate the place. So I really look forward to that experience because I've always seen that kind of a content when it comes to like chateaus and castles. So I really look forward to spending 2 weeks just renovating. And I'm glad that I did that because I also realized that renovating is not really for me. I really thought that I would have like this interest for renovating. Maybe I will have an interest for it if it was my place. When it's other people's places, I do not have the interest to do any kind of renovating at all. So I went to the castle, and before I went there, I found the place through a Facebook group, like a wolfing Facebook group, and I could see the owner. I could tell that he was married to another man, so I felt like it was going to be an LGBTQ friendly place. Not that it's a big deal for me because I'm really comfortable with my sexuality, so I don't really need to be in spaces. I need approval when it comes to that, so I don't really care for that. For me, it's definitely more if they're racist or not. There was definitely some tension between me and the owner at times, but I wouldn't really point it out and say that it has something to do with race. But at the same time, I've also been told that the people down south, like South Island people, tend to be a lot more racist compared to the ones up north. So that was in the back of my mind as well, interacting and then like moving around in South Island, that okay, these people can be racist. There are definitely some racist stories that I've heard. I didn't really experience anything as such when I was in South Island. I did think about it. So yeah. So I went to this castle, and immediately before I went there and I saw the profile picture of the owner, I just had this feeling of this place is gonna be like more of a strict place. It's gonna be very organized. There's definitely gonna be a time plan that has to be followed. That's initially those are the thoughts that I had, and at the time, because I went from that other farm up north, I kind of looked forward for like structure and things being organized. So, and everything was structured and everything was organized. So I like that aspect of it. And the camping, and I stayed there with 3 other people. There was a guy from the UK, and then there was a guy from Florida, and then there was a girl from Japan. And the girl had her own camper. We all stayed in campers, and I shared a camper with the 2 other guys. And it was this camper from the 80s. It was a nice vibe. I will say it was a really nice vibe. And this camper didn't look old or torn. It looked brand new. Something about the 80s that's just more practical and just more of a quality, because everything was on point for that camper. The modern campers, and I've seen some of them, they're not as thought out as the 80s one. I really enjoyed my time there. It was fun. There wasn't that much to do. I went for some long walks, and sometimes we would get the owners to drop us off at the nearest town, so we could buy like something to drink. And 2 times I think where we walked to the nearest town, that was like 30 minutes by foot, just one way. And we went out to eat and stuff. It was fun. And the 2 guys were in the early 20s, and at the time I was 30, so there was definitely that kind of a difference. I did get along with them, but it wasn't really guys where I was just like, oh my god, I really click with them. These are like my type of people. It wasn't like that at all, but we got along and we had a fun time, and we had like evenings where we like do fires and stuff like that. So it was a fun and nice experience. And the owner had like 2 French bulldogs which were really cute and fun to play with. The construction workers there, they seemed nice. There wasn't anything with them. They were definitely there to work, and that was very much what it gave. But the boss of the construction worker, he did take us out to play golf, and that was my first time playing golf, and it was really fun. And it was just the most beautiful scenery, like just a golf course itself, because it's just plain green grass and it's like perfectly cut. That in itself is just very aesthetically beautiful. Then we had like the mountains around it, and with like snow on the top as well. It was just really beautiful, and I was drunk, and it was my first time. One thing I do know is that I suck at playing golf. I know it's my first time, but you know when you like, it might be your first time but you're good at it. That wasn't the case for me. I was straight out bad at it. So, but it was still fun, and I lost, of course, and I didn't know what direction my ball went in. They always had to point it out to me, like, your ball is in that direction, like, because I was so focused on hitting the ball because I could never hit it. I think it was like, I would have like 20 tries before I actually hit the ball. But I also kind of look forward to moving again, because one thing about the owner that we didn't have any arguments. There was nothing that was being said or anything like that. But he kind of just gave a little bit of old white femme gay man version of a Karen. It wasn't anything racial, but he just gave up that kind of vibe like a Karen. There were some moments where it was a little bit tense, and you know, sometimes I would just try to avoid him because I was just like, can I be bothered? For example, there was like moments where he would show up, like, because at this point I think it was like my second day there, and I've already seen like the castle, but he wanted to give us like a tour of the place and like the history of the place. And there would be like, I would like, for example, ask just to be curious because we're doing the renovation, right? So I'm of course curious because I know we're stripping paint. That's what I did for 2 weeks, stripping paint from the wood paneling and the wood walls and removing the stains. So when he's giving this tour based on the castle and the history of the old owners that have been there and that place being neglected before buying it, of course we're going to be curious to ask, like, what are your plans regarding like the interior? What do you want to do? Is it going to be colorful spaces, or are you going to be minimal? And like, are we just stripping the paint off the wall? Do you know what I mean? For you to just put another layer of stain on it and then just have white walls? Like, what are your ideas? What are your thoughts? And when I asked him that, when he answered back, he was so annoyed by me asking that question. And this is like the end of the tour, and he hadn't mentioned anything regarding the interior of the place, what his plans are. So that was that aspect where I was just like, oh, you're so annoying. He probably thought I was annoying, but I couldn't see why I would be annoying, because at the end of the day, like, we're here woofing to help you renovate your place. Like, give us a deal. Like, what are the chances of people coming to help you do your place and they don't have a slight interest when it comes to like renovation and interior? Do you know what I mean? It kind of annoyed me, and we had our little moments as well where we had a little bit of like a tense conversation. Nothing was said, but there was definitely a little bit of a tense way of us communicating. I stayed over 2 weeks, and I, in the meantime, had found another place which was more on the east side of the South Island of New Zealand. It was like 5 hours bus drive. I knew that I wanted to leave after the 2 weeks. There was another guy as well that came in that was Russian, and he was really nice. I got a really long with him. I got actually a more along with that guy compared to the other ones, but I also think it's because he was older as well. He was really nice. I feel like the owner had his way with the other two guys. He didn't have his way with me, but it wasn't like, it didn't create that much friction. But whereas the other Russian guy, he didn't have his way with the Russian guy compared to the other two guys, so it created a bit of friction. And he definitely bitched about it to me, and I was like, why are you bitching all of this to me? And I like the Russian guy. So when I talked with the Russian guy, we talked about like future plans, what we wanted to do. I definitely let him know that he should be thinking about this place for a long term. And he actually ended up leaving the day after, and he hadn't even stayed there for 2 weeks. So when you agree on staying in a certain place, you usually stay for that amount of time, because for them it's also they're investing in the way that you're using all the utilities and like housing and food. So they also want something back. That's the whole point of the moving experience. He chose to leave, like I think he stayed there for only like 5 or 6 days, and then he was gone. He left the day after I left. But in the meantime, I was there. I found another place on the Facebook group. I knew I was going to be dealing with horses. I kind of look forward to dealing with horses again, because after the 2 weeks of doing renovation. So I look forward to that. So I leave, and on my way to the bus stop, the owner told me that he was quite surprised that I left after the 2 weeks. He thought I was going to stay for another 2 to 3 weeks, and I was just like, oh, okay. Didn't know what to say, because what made you think that I would want to stay? Like, did I seem that overly enjoyed by staying there? Because I don't feel like that's what I gave up. Maybe it was because I was so relaxed. At the time, it was still during end of the summer, so after work, I would like sit in the garden and read my books and have like a cider and relax. Like, I really relaxed at that place. So maybe that made him think that I wanted to stay. But I also did tell my friend about this whole experience, and she was like, you have a way of making people think one thing, but you think something else. And I don't know that about me. Maybe I do, I don't know. But the first owner as well from the first place, she also kind of was surprised that I didn't want to stay. I don't know what it is. When I'm like in a new place and I know I'm gonna stay here for 2 weeks, I know how to just be comfortable in that. But no, I didn't want to stay at that place. So I went to the other place, and that was like a 5-hour journey with the bus through South Island to the East Coast. I actually went through a city, which was so weird thinking back at it. I went through a city called Dunedin, and this is like this university city. And I went through it, and we was holding there because it was one of the big cities on that route for the bus. We held there for like 20 minutes, and I just looked out. And I was just like, this seems like a really dark, cloudy city. Nothing goes on, and doesn't seem that interesting. I like couldn't really put my finger on it, but I was just like, I don't really know. Later on, I just then ended up staying there for quite a while, but we'll get back to that. So we went through the city, and I ended up on this bus stop in the middle of nowhere to get picked up by the owners, horse farm that I'm gonna stay at for 7 days. That's what we agreed on, and they picked me up. And I'm in the middle of nowhere. So, and these are at the buses these are like flex buses, buses, I think they're called. They don't go that often during the day, so it's not like a regular bus where it comes once every hour or so. And they also stop on a certain time. It is quite early on the day that they stop going back and forth. So I get picked up. I can barely see them because the window screen is brown from filth, and you can just see where the window screens can reach. So I could see through that, and I'm just like, okay. She's like a fragile, thin woman, and he looks a little bit rough. I was just like, okay, I don't know about this, but okay, I don't have anywhere else to go, right? So I go into the car, and they greet me, and they're so nice. Like, they were really, really nice. And I say hi and stuff like that, we have a conversation. First of all, when I open the door, the filth in that car, they have never cleaned that car. And it was like one of those big trucks. It's a car that everyone has in New Zealand. And I will try to find a picture. It's just a car that everyone has in New Zealand. I don't know. It's like if you have a farm, you need to have that car. I don't know why, but it just seems like that's just one of the essentials of having a farm. Is that type of car. And I started. It's just filthy in that car. It was giving that I was happy that I wore a trench coat so my joggings wouldn't touch the seat. That's what it was giving. It was giving that I had a beige trench coat on, and I was scared that it would get filthy. That's what it was giving, right? And we were talking as we were driving to the farm, and she was a little bit, as I said, she was really fragile. There was something about her aura and the way that she spoke. Even though she was happy and she made me feel welcome, there was just something fragile about her that made my alarms go up, but not in a way that, oh, I feel like I'm gonna be in danger or am I gonna be in for a roller coaster, not like that, but just like, oh my god, I need to be careful with what I say. I'm not always careful with what I say. It's not that, but you know, you just have to really think about the way that you say things, I feel like, and what kind of tone I say it in as well. That's really what I felt like, just in interacting with her. And the guy seemed really nice. He definitely gave up. I used to be a drinker. I used to have my face in snow 24/7 for several years. Like, you know what I mean? That kind of past life. That's what it gave. I actually did think he was alcoholic still or something like that. But they find out he doesn't really drink like that. He does drink, but it's not like that. But maybe he does. I don't know. Maybe he's just a functional alcoholic. I don't know. But yeah, so we drive and it's like 10 minutes away from the bus stop. And then we drive down to the left and then we enter the property and there's this long road leading up to the farm with trees on each side. It was very like aesthetic and really beautiful to look at. And there's these like fences on the field with horses on it, and all the fencing was working, and they let me know that everything was worked. Began the fencing, everything's up. There's no fence that's like down or anything like that. I did find out that there's some part of the fences that didn't work, and it was just full on open, so the horses could actually walk out, and they actually did as well. There's something about New Zealand and the fencing, like the fencing had me stressed out. Here in Denmark, as someone that had horseback riding for 7 years in Denmark as a kid, I've never heard anyone talk about fencing being a problem. Over there, their properties are so big, so if the fencing doesn't work, the chances of the horses ending up on the road is so little. So there's not that much of a danger of a horse being on the road, but at the same time there is, because when I went from the first place and she had to drop me off at the nearest town when I left, we almost hit a big white horse coming trotting down the road, and we came around the corner and the horse came trotting towards us, like we almost hit it. And I was actually holding my camera, but I didn't manage to press play in time to get it on recording. That was like a shocking experience, and I wasn't, at the same time I was shocked, but I wasn't shocked. We had been to town a couple of times where we met like cows during the night sitting in the middle of the road. And when I say they live in a rural area, I mean a rural area where there's no street lights. The houses are so far away from the street, the light from the house can't even reflect on the road. Like, it was pitch black and there were just cows laying on the road. But yeah, that's a whole different thing. So we drive down. I was just like, okay, this seems like a nice place. It's smaller, but they have a lot of horses and they have one bull. And then we come up to the house, and the first thing that I noticed is a little bit of a mess, but it's organized mess. At that time, it had been raining for like a week, so it was really wet and it was cloudy. It was like, you know, grayish with the weather. The first thing I noticed was the amount of chicken all over the place. I've never been on a chicken farm before. I've never been in a place where they have a lot of chickens, so I don't really know what chicken smells like. I know what a dairy farm smells like. I know what a horse stable smells like. I know how a pig farm smells like, but not a chicken farm. And when I opened that door, I got slapped with the smell of chicken. Like, the chicken poop has such a niche smell to it. I can't really explain it, but it was so bad, and it just hit me in my face as I opened that door. And I was just like, oh my god, like, what is this? She then tells me that I can choose to sleep in the house, or I can choose to sleep in a camper. At this point, I've shared a camper with 2 other guys at the castle, and the place before that I shared a room with another guy for a whole month. So for me, I was just like, okay, I need my own space. Even if it's for a week, I just need my own space. So I just went with the camper. Leading up to the camper, because I told you guys it's been raining for a week, it was wet and muddy. We opened the door. It's a little pathway leading up to the door to the camper, right? And on the side of the camper, it's just plastic with spiders. I'm not afraid of spiders. If I see a spider in this house, I'm not afraid of it because I'm comfortable in this space. It's clean. I don't mind a spider, but as soon I'm in a place where I feel like it's dirty and I don't feel comfortable, and there's like a wall plastered on the camper full of spiders, I feel some type of way. I really do. It's like, I really, really do. So I didn't really like that, but whatever. Like, what am I gonna do? Of course it's gonna be spiders, right? At least it's not Australia. If it was Australia, I think I would have catched a flight to go back home, but it wasn't. And she opens the door, and this camper's carpeted all the way through. It's a light beige light colored carpet, and it's totally dark from mud, from the shoes. People have been sleeping in there, just dragging mud through. And I was just like, oh my god, I'm never take my shoes off, and I didn't. I slept in that camper for a week and never took my shoes off in that camper. Besides that, the camper was alright. It was a double bed, which was so nice because I've been sleeping on a single bed, so I really enjoyed to be able to stretch out and just not having to think about being in a contained space. And I'm really tall. I'm 6'3", so for me it was really nice to be able to stretch my legs. I then unpacked in the camper. Sort of unpack, I don't really unpack. I have everything in my vacuum bags, so I just pulled some of them out and opened one suitcase so I could just get all my practical things. And then I went to go into the house to see the house and you know, continue the conversation with the owners and stuff like that. And the owners are friends, and she's a female and he's a male, and they chose to buy this place together because that's the only way they could afford to buy this place. She has kids from a previous marriage, and he has one son, and the one son actually lives in the house. She has a couple of kids, but she has one daughter living at home still that also does like the horseback riding. And they do that, what's it called, trekking? They do trekking, and all of the horses were like a mixture of, like, it was Arab horses for the most part, which are known for being able to ride really long distances. And I wanted to see the house, of course, so I go into the house after unpacking, and they have a lot of dogs as well, and they have a lot of chickens, and they have a lot of cats as well. Leading up to the house, the Porsche around the house was filled with chicken shit all over it. It was filled with chicken shit all over it. Finally, fine, it's outside, whatever, it's chicken, you cannot really have a control of them. And I then step into the house, and they have carpet flooring, and it's this light color as well. And I could you not, 2 to 3 meters ahead from the front door, it was just completely dark, plastered in mud, shit, whatever. From the dogs, from the shoes, from walking into the house, there was no like, there was not a mat in front, like inside of the house where you could actually like brush up your shoes and like take them off, you know, and then not have to leave like make a trail throughout the house. None of that. And she actually told me that I didn't have to take my shoes off, and I didn't, because it was absolutely disgusting. Like, even though I'm wearing socks, I don't like to go around on things that are like filthy and muddy, even with socks on them. So I was kind of shocked by that as well. I didn't know what was gonna be ahead of me when I turned around that corner, but I walked through the corridor, went to the right, and there was the big open kitchen space, and there was a kitchen island, and she treated that kitchen island like it was a bin. Just shit, food, old food, laying out on the kitchen island, new food, old food, flies everywhere, the stove was filthy, everything was filthy, the dining table next to it was filthy with stuff on it, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And she was at the kitchen at the time, and she would like greet me, of course, and stuff like that, but as she was greeting me, she was also look on the kitchen island and look around, because she knew, because she has had people come and work for her, and usually people are not from New Zealand, we are from Europe or other places in the world. So she knew that I would probably have a chance, she probably knew that I would probably feel a way about the situation that the kitchen was in, but I didn't say anything. But it was absolutely, it was so disgusting. And the look of that place, like when a kitchen is that filthy and that disgusting, I lose appetite. I don't want to eat. And I actually think I lost weight during that time when I was there, because when I was in Australia, when I went to New Zealand, and from Australia, I had gained a lot of weight in Australia. 1, from drinking, partying, and 2, for always eating. But I ate out all the time. It was always sushi, pizza, like all the time. So I definitely lost some weight in that week I was there because of the feel. Opposite the kitchen was the living room, and it was alright. It was a little bit, it was more minimal. There wasn't that much. Das sticker her. Det er det bedste stedet jeg nogensinde har været.
Stinker.
going on, but there was still a lot going on. There was like this big pile of clothes. Couldn't really figure out if it was newly washed or dirty. And then we had the fireplace where she had these big flowers with the seeds that you could eat drying by the fireplace. That created a whole big mess as well. I didn't see the rest of the house except for the toilet. I wasn't curious. I was just like, I don't want to see something that's just gonna put me all the way off because I'm so put off. The bathroom was alright. It was okay. It was alright. But yeah, from that first day and that experience, I just knew that I didn't want to stay. If I could find a place from the day after, I would just take that. I could just feel it. I just wanted to leave as soon as possible. But it did take me a whole week before I found another place, so I had to just get used to it. I really just had to get used to it. And for the first 4 days, there was nothing to do because it was raining so much, so I couldn't help. We couldn't do anything outside. We couldn't do anything with the horses. We couldn't do anything with the garden or anything like that. We did end up doing some things the last 3 days, which was like minor things, which was, I was glad to help with them because I then found out that the reason why she was as she was because of a prior relationship. The kid's father, she went through like a verbal and physical abuse with that guy, and a lot of physical as well. So that explained her way of being really like this threat. Well, first of all, she was really thin, but she was really like her mannerism and the way that she carried herself was so fragile. But she was nice. We had some laugh and we communicated really well together. But I could definitely tell that there was something there from that relationship, and also a lot of the beatings in that relationship came from the man not feeling that she maintained the home in the right way. So she has some trauma regarding cleaning and stuff like that, and you could definitely tell that that's probably why now when she's not with the husband anymore, that she doesn't want to really think about it anymore, like when it comes to cleanings. Yeah, so besides that, it was a fun time. I then on the second day saw the guy's place. It was a tiny little house that he built himself, which was really nice and warm and cozy. It was a little bit dirty, but it was and there was a little bit of a mess, but it was organized mess. And you could definitely tell that he's been a chef for 30 years working in a hotel, because the kitchen area was clean, and when he cooked, he made some really nice food. He really knew how to make something out of nothing. Like, he really knew how to cook some really nice food. And actually, I also ended up using his bathroom and toilet and stuff like that because it was clean and it was new. So I felt more comfortable using that, and it was also close to the camera as well, so I just ended up doing that. In the meantime, as I said, after the first day, I just knew I wanted to get away, so I started messaging a lot of people on the Facebook groups, and I found this woofing website where you could find people that want to host for woofers, and started contacting people there as well, find some other places, but in the future, not anyone that could host me like from the next day on or for the next 4 days after. But I do find a place, and it's on a Facebook group, and her name is Shelly. There's no profile picture of her, there's no picture of her or anything. I was just like, okay, that's fine. What can go wrong? Like, we communicated back and forth and this and that, and did message back and forth of what I expected and what she expected. It's a dairy farm and stuff like that, but I won't be helping with the cow. And we agreed on how many hours I should be working per day, which was fine. And then the one red flag I should have noticed in the beginning of all of that, because all the places I've seen pictures of the owners. I've been able to see pictures of owners and the pictures that have been tagged in. I've been able to see like who their relatives are. But the first red flag of Shelly was there was no profile pictures. I couldn't see anything of that woman. Nothing. That should have been a red flag. But I wanted to leave because it was filthy where I was at the time. And I didn't really eat as I said. And I just felt a little bit out of place. I felt a little bit uncomfortable. So, and she was fragile, and she did ask me, is there any groceries we should purchase and stuff like that. And it is their responsibility regarding from what we have like agreed upon. But I could also find out that I don't even understand how she could afford that place, because it seemed like she was on benefit. So I didn't feel comfortable asking anything from her, right? Especially knowing her past story with her husband and seeing the place and stuff like that. So I just really wanted to be of help and not be any kind of difficult when it came to staying at that place. It was definitely a red flag. I couldn't see Shelly and see a picture of Shelly, right? So the day comes where I have to leave, and I haven't told them anything, and Shelly's supposed to pick me up 2 hours before I tell them that I'm leaving. And before I mention more of that, Shelly and I communicated. She told me that because I told her what it was, she was like, oh, I can pick you up on a Sunday after I've been to church. And also that, I was a little bit like, oh, you're going to church? Like, if someone would have said they're going to church and it was someone from Denmark, I probably wouldn't have given it a second thought. But because I'm in a new country, I don't really know how people are in New Zealand. I was just like a little bit like, okay, this might not be a good thing, right? And as I said before, I don't really care for people's approval or not. When it comes to my sexuality, I really could not give a fuck. So I'm the same type of person. I can stay at your place. If you have a problem with me being homosexual, I don't care. I'm still staying. Like, if you allow me to stay, I'm still staying. I don't give a shit. Like, that's how I am, right? But yeah, so the day comes where Shelly's supposed to pick me up, and 2 hours before they pick me up, I let them know that I'm moving on. And I was trying to figure out what I need to say to them so they don't feel some type of way. I couldn't really figure out what I wanted to tell them or what the reason is for me leaving. And they end up interrupting me before I start improvising my reason for leaving. And they're like, oh, we get it. It's because the weather's bad, there hasn't been that much to do, and it's just more fun for you to go to another place with the small things to do. And I was just like, yeah, that's exactly what it is. Thank you for understanding. I really wanted to help, but yeah, as you said, it's been raining for the last 4 days and stuff like that. So nothing bad happened from that situation. It was just a situation of me not liking the place. The guy then helps me drop off my 2 suitcases at the main road, because as I said, it's a long road from there's like a long pathway road from the main road to the farm, and I have 2 suitcases that weighs in total 60 kilos plus. I have a handbag that's like 10 kilos of my laptop, my camera, papers, books, stuff like that. And then he drops me up, he says goodbye, and I say goodbye, and I'm just so relieved, and I'm so tired at this point because I didn't really sleep because of the chicken yapping away 6 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't really eat as I said, so I'm so tired. And then Shelly comes, and she comes in this white truck thing, and she exits the car, and I look at her and she looks at me, and we just have this second of looking at each other, and I think we are trying to figure out what we're trying to use our energy to fill up each other, like are we gonna click, are we not gonna click, kind of a thing. Another thing I want to say, before, when we were messaging trying to figure out if I was gonna go to their place, she did say we can start off with you staying in my place for a week and see how the dynamics are. I've never heard any of the other people text that before. That should have been another red flag. So her not having profile picture, any kind of picture on her profile, is one red flag, and her saying that we could start with 1 week and then we could see how it goes should have been a second red flag. Especially because none of the other places have been saying that. Shelly's place is my 4th place, the 4th person I've communicated with, and I've been communicating with other people as well that I ended up staying at as well, and they didn't say that sentence at all. So that should have been a big red flag.